a licensed psychologist, and here we talk about psychology and true crime. Thank you all for being here. Danette, you are here for the snark, and please know that I have some. We are going to be diving into some witnesses from day 5. And then I did want to watch the cross-examination from today of the detective. I think it was the person that interviewed Lori. So we are going to do this today. Our first witness with the Lori Vallow trial is going to be a Social Security investigator. So there can be fraud with Social Security. And if there is fraud suspected, and with this case, what's not coming up is the fact that Lori was continuing to receive JJ's benefits after his death. That does not come up in this trial. They are focusing on the fact that Lori continued to receive spousal, so like mother caring for a child benefits, that she continued to receive that benefit after she married Chad in November of 2019. And just a reminder, Charles died in July, and Lori was having an affair with Chad back in July when Charles died. And then we also want to remember that the jury is not going to be aware that Tammy died right before their wedding. That I have not heard that come up in the case. And so we like these reminders. I did hear today, I heard them read the jury questions that were not able to come into the trial. So y'all know I have a full-time job. I am a licensed psychologist here in Virginia. I have an active caseload, and I catch up on cases, and sometimes I fast forward. I love Court TV's feed, and I do share their full link down in my description, because they have after court is over, they go back and add chapters. And there was a chapter for the outside of the presence of the jury. And that happened today, where they talked about some of the jury questions that either the defendant opposed or that the state opposed, the jury questions that were not entered. Okay? Because we've been wondering if the jury is asking about Tylee, if they are asking about, especially Tylee, because Tylee, her involvement in this is kind of because Lori's saying Tylee's the one that got the bat. And I'm sure the jury, in the back of their mind, they might be thinking, why aren't we hearing from Tylee? And from what I've heard, it's really Lori that keeps bringing this up. But thank y'all again for being here. Let's hop into, I've fast forwarded a little bit to where he's describing the difference between spousal benefits. We're going to try it at 1.25 speed. I will slow it down if we need to, and I can adjust my volume just in case anything is off here. I'll try not to get too excited. We'll see if that happens. All right, let's go.
When a child has a parent that passes away, are any benefits paid out to the mother of the child?
Yes, they could be.
How does that depend? What makes the difference on whether or not the mother gets benefits or not?
So it's a benefit called mother, child, and care benefits. So for example, if a mother is married to her father at the time of his death, she would receive called a mother, child, and care benefit. So it'd be a dual benefit for the child as well as her benefit for herself. It'd be the same dollar amount that she would receive as well.
So if the parents were not married at the time that one of the parents passes away, then does the other parent get any survivor benefits?
They would not.
If a surviving spouse remarries, what happens to those benefits given to, say, the mother of the child?
They would then cease upon that marriage.
Would the child still get benefits?
They would.
Okay. Were you asked to look into survivor benefits involving Lori Vallow and JJ Vallow?
Yes, I was.
In your investigation, did you also become aware of benefits being provided to another child of Lori Vallow, Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
During your investigation, did you learn that starting in June of 2018, Tylee Ryan was receiving survivor benefits from Social Security for the death of her father.
Yes.
In 2019, how much was Tylee Ryan receiving?
We have approximately $18.59 per month.
Is there a representative payee for a child who is receiving Social Security benefits as survivor?
Yes, there is.
What is a representative payee?
So based upon a child being a minor, we would appoint a called representative payee. So that person would be the payee on behalf of that child. So they would have a bank account and they pay money from us on behalf of that child to pay for shelter, clothes, money, that sort of thing, food, that sort of thing.
So in the case of Tylee Ryan, was Lori Vallow the representative payee for Tylee Ryan?
She was.
And is in general, those benefits you said are put into a bank account that can be held by both the child and the payee?
Correct.
Now, if Lori Vallow was married in June of 2018 to someone else, not Tylee's father, would she still receive that mother of survivor benefits?
She would not.
Okay. How does a person go about applying for survivor benefits from Social Security?
So upon the passing of the recipient, say a father, they would have to go into the office or apply online, and then have an appointment to confirm the details for that survivor receiving benefits on behalf of that resident.
Okay. And so that's the normal course of business, is to have someone come in eventually and speak with someone about verifying different important aspects to consider when determining whether or not to provide survivor benefits.
Correct.
During your investigation, did you become aware of Lori Vallow going to an appointment with someone from Social Security Administration related to JJ?
Yes.
When was that?
On or about August 12th, 2019.
During that meeting, did Lori Vallow have to answer questions relating to her relationship with Charles Vallow?
Yes.
Did she have to, for instance, provide the date when she and Charles Vallow were married?
Yes.
When was that?
The date of the marriage, and I have to be refreshed from a document for that.
Sure. Let me see if I have everyone here. I can have my paralegal approach.
That's word order.
2006.
And you can make that with me. Thank you. During that meeting on August 12th of 2019, was Lori Vallow questioned about whether or not she and Charles Vallow were living together at the time of his death?
She was.
And what did Lori Vallow tell Social Security on August 12th of 2019 about whether or not she and Charles Vallow were still living together at the time of his death?
She confirmed they were living together at the time of his death.
Is that important in trying to determine?
Wait a minute. I'm glad I listened to this part, because they were not living in the same household. They had two separate households. I missed that the first time. Because he had no items. This whole thing started because she, according to her, we will not know what truly happened in that home that day. I think something with the phone was probably possible, but I think there's some major things that are being left out, and I think the jury is going to see her credibility issues. I personally feel that. All right. So she's already been convicted of Social Security fraud. I'm not aware of this. Thanks for sharing this. All right, let's keep going.
Survivor benefits?
It definitely helps the agencies determine if benefits are entitled to the recipient, correct?
Now, as part of your job, sort of working for the Office of Investigations for Social Security, did you become involved in looking at these benefits that were awarded to Lori Vallow and to JJ Vallow as a result of the death of Leland Charles Vallow?
Yes.
You told us you were familiar with the notice of award letters that Social Security sends out.
Yes.
And are those letters created in the normal course of business?
Yes.
And are they created at or near the time when that person goes in to make that appointment and a decision is made to provide those survivor benefits?
Yes, correct.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 213 and 214.
We get to fast forward.
I do.
And are those the notice of award letter sent to Lori Vallow regarding survivor benefits for both herself and for JJ Vallow.
Okay, and so we're going to fast forward because it's going to say that basically she applied and received the mother benefit. Yes. All right. I hope we're close to cross.
All right. Let's start with 213.
Well, maybe not. I'm gonna get up to cross-examination. Because they're gonna go back over this again with the amount. So Lori was getting there was monthly paid, it was $1,951, and the back pay was over because they do it from the time of his death. So it was $3,000, almost $4,000 of back pay.
Correct.
Exhibit 2014. When Ms. Vallow went in on August 12th, would that be the same, during that meeting, would they have been questioning her with regards to both JJ as well as her survivor benefits?
Yes.
So this letter is from that same meeting.
Yes.
In 214 again, this one, we see that it's only addressed to Lori Vallow, but at the same 1658 East Sherry Street in Santan Valley.
Yes.
And how much money was Ms. Vallow set to receive as a result of the death of Charles Vallow?
It would be $1,951 per month.
Is that the same as what JJ was getting?
Yes, it'd be mirroring the same amount that JJ was receiving. Yes, correct.
So basically, she's getting about $4,000 a month.
Approximately, yes.
Now, in these letters and the other documentation you reviewed, we see her as Lori N.
So because of his autism diagnosis, that may, I'm not sure if they talked about this, but this says important to note JJ's increased award is due to his care needs. All right.
Vallow, correct?
Yes.
In your investigation, did you ever learn whether or not Lori N. Vallow ever remarried and became Lori N. Daybell?
Yes.
Can you tell us in your investigation what the date of that marriage was when Lori N. Vallow became Lori N. Daybell?
November 5th, 2019.
And who did Lori Vallow marry?
Chad Daybell.
No other questions for this witness, Your Honor?
Cross.
So we are here for the cross-examination, and I am going to interrupt quite frequently. So welcome, y'all.
Mr. Sari, is Social Security, as a surviving spouse, can you get benefits if you didn't have any children?
I believe so, correct? Yes.
Okay, so if you've been married for longer than 10 years, you get spousal surviving benefits. Is that correct?
There are some rules for that. I believe that is correct, I believe, yes.
And so if I had been married to my husband for 10 years and his previous wife had been married to my husband for over 10 years, she would also get that surviving spouse benefit?
What's your question again? Who's the she part? I'm trying to follow that part.
Okay, just a previous person who had.
And it's so great for a witness, if you don't understand the question, have them ask it again. Have them ask it again. And because her questions, the way that she's wording it, it's not clear. It's not clear.
Has been married to my husband previous to me for more than 10 years. I mean, that's what Social Security does, right?
I'm not sure. What is your question? I'm trying to.
Okay, sorry. So if there were two spouses to a deceased husband, consecutive.
Because she wasn't clear that like somebody got divorced and then they remarried. And so the question isn't completely clear because she doesn't realize that he investigates fraud. He's not somebody that knows much about how people qualify for services. And so I think he did not know how to answer this question.
And they were both each married for over 10 years to that same husband. They would both receive a spousal benefit or could apply for and receive that spousal benefit. Is that correct?
That's one administrative issue. I have to obviously I'm not aware of all the policies for that kind of issue. So I can't really answer yes or no to that question.
Okay. So if it was explained to me when I was at the Social Security office that I could receive that.
So the state, I think, is trying to catch to make sure that Lori doesn't get evidence entered, because she's saying, well, what if I was told this? Well, she has to get on the stand and say what she was told. She can't ask a question about what she was told. And so the state is doing a really good job objecting when she's trying to testify, and she is going to continue to do this multiple times this day. And that's so, like, we're going to see a lot of that. And the state is on it, and I think even the judge advises her, like, this is how you can ask that question, and, like, to make it to where you're not testifying. And she still went back and did it anyway. And so, which meant her question would end up getting thrown out because she wasn't asking it properly.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay. But it is possible. You're just not aware of it. Is that correct?
I would have to ask an expert in our agency for administrative rules on that.
Okay. And what is your expertise at Social Security?
I'm a special agent.
And so you just investigate. Is that correct?
Investigate crimes of fraud, waste, and abuse with Social Security, correct?
You investigate fraud. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But you're not really privy to what an agent might be telling a person as they come in to get Social Security. Is that correct?
What they tell an agent, an employee, or what is your question again?
Yes. So you're not really privy to what the employees are telling the regular people that come in to the Social Security office.
I'm not there for those.
So for anybody that's new, Lori does not accept responsibility for her own actions. Everything is everybody else's fault. She wants to desperately be in control, but then not be accountable for her actions and the things she does. She is trying to be like, they told me. I was told the wrong information. He was an excellent witness, and that's why we are going through his testimony. And honestly, I think a part of it is not that she is I don't think she has mental capacity issues. It's her inability to accept answers she doesn't like. So she doesn't like this answer. She doesn't like the fact that he's making it look like this testimony is pointing to the possible greed, to the possible financial motive for her to unalive Charles. That's what this is pointing to. And she's trying to say, oh no, like, I didn't make a mistake. I was told the wrong information. And then because it came up, I think it was today, with some of the with some of the summons, because she submitted subpoenas, and we might try to play that part from today, because it was just so mind-boggling that she was like, because there were some addresses. Arizona has a law that any victims in a case, that their address, they can't be sent a public subpoena, because I think subpoenas are public record that any of us can click on and see. And so to protect victims, that subpoenas have to be entered for any victims related to the case. They have to be entered a certain way. And she first of all, she subpoenaed people she didn't even want. And so she was like, oh, I don't need that person. And she was like, I was just handed a list of subpoenas. But it's like, but ma'am, you're the one that has to read and look at what you're signing. She was like, oh no, like, I was just given a list and I just signed them. And oh my gosh. You can hit that like button. It just helps in the little algorithm, helps more people find the stream. Let's keep it going.
Appointments, correct?
So you don't really understand what all benefits can be given?
You understand?
We with OIG investigate crimes of fraud, waste, and abuse. So we are the experts for that. And we also have experts internally in Social Security we look to for guidance on internal rules that are more complex, if that kind of helps you out.
Okay.
That kind of
So you had said something about mother in care benefits. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, and it's the same dollar amount as the child in care benefits. Is that correct?
yours was.
There's two benefits, mother, child, and care, and also for JJ. They were the mirroring same amount, correct?
But wouldn't the mother in care benefits be for the child?
It would be if the individual had the child in their care.
That was a silly question. That was not a good question. And this is why you do not represent yourself. Okay? Like Lori Vallow's picture should be on the, this is why you do not represent yourself, because she doesn't know what she's doing. That particular line of questioning, I don't think that was very helpful. I don't think it was. Not a lawyer, but like it seemed problematic.
Care, correct.
Right. So, but a spousal benefit, if you've been married for over 10 years and you didn't have any children, you would still be entitled to that.
But that's not what you applied for.
Isn't that correct?
My understanding is that you have to be a certain age to get that benefit, to be a certain age to apply for that. In this situation here, due to the decedent Charles dying, there was a benefit for the child only that was receiving, as well as child and care. So only two benefits were received for the child, also child and care as well.
So my question is, how is that determined by the employee? Like if it's spousal benefit or if it's a mother and care benefit?
You.
It'd be up to the applicant to apply for the benefits.
So if you applied for the spousal benefit and they gave you the mother and care benefit instead, how would you know the difference? You just know that that was the monthly amount you're getting?
You would receive a letter in the mail. You also would be at the appointment very clearly told what you're applying for. It should not be any confusion about what you're applying for at that appointment.
Okay. So if you were told that you were getting the spousal benefit,
That's right.
Yeah, it's sustained.
if an employee told a recipient that they were getting a spousal benefit,
You could hear her getting frustrated. So remember, I'm Dr. Barry. I get a little snarky. Okay. So true crime is hard. Okay. And sometimes we laugh to keep, because this is a sad case. Justice for Charles. Like this is a really, really sad case. But she is getting perturbed because the judge is setting a boundary. The judge said, you can't testify through your questions. And so she was like, it sounds, Lisa, I agree. It sounded very confrontational. And so the part where this matters is because she applied for the benefit she applied for, she should have notified Social Security that she got married. The big issue with this is that she did not notify Social Security that she got married, and she was continuing to receive that benefit even after her marriage. I think they started investigating her in January of 2020. That's when Social Security office opened their investigation for all of her fraud, because they suspect the children were deceased and she was still receiving JJ's benefits. And that's what her and Chad were living off of and traveling on. It was the children's Social Security. And I think Tammy's life insurance policy.
I'll allow him to answer that hypothetical if he knows.
if an employee were to tell someone they were getting a spousal benefit and they received a letter in the mail saying it was a mother and care benefit, should they call the Social Security office and clear that up?
It would be up to the applicant, if they received a letter in the mail, to contact Social Security and say, hey, this is the wrong benefit I'm receiving. So it would be up to the applicant to let us know, let Social Security know the benefit is not correct.
So if the employee put it in as something other than they told the recipient, then it would just be up to the recipient to correct that. Is that correct?
Social Security goes off of information that's provided to the agency by the applicant. That makes sense. So it's up to the applicant to be truthful and provide the right information to the agency.
So do you have a copy of my application for either of these benefits?
Not today.
I'd have to ask the prosecutor for that information.
Okay. Have you ever seen one to your knowledge that you remember?
Yes.
You've seen my applications?
Yes, I have.
And were they for mother in care?
It was for survivors for JJ as well as for mother, child, and care as well.
So the application that I filled out was not for spousal benefit. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I'm sorry.
he can answer if he knows, if he recalls the answer.
Repeat the question, please.
I'm saying, so of the records that you saw, I did not have a spousal survivor benefit application.
The records I saw were an application for survivors benefits for JJ as well as for child and care as well. Two different benefits that you were receiving.
Okay, so is there an application for spousal benefit?
I'm only aware of the two benefits you were receiving, which was for JJ and for mother, child, and care.
So it could have been a mix-up of the employee. Is that what you're saying?
No.
they would have been relying on information you would provide at that application appointment, August 12th, 2019.
And this is a filled out form application? Is that what you're saying? It's not just something you verbally give to the employee?
I believe you could do it online.
Welcome, welcome. So DARVO is a term in normally with antagonistic relationships, sometimes narcissistic relationships, where it's deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. So an individual that's problematic, they will harm you and then want you to apologize for them being hurt, but they're the one that harmed you. So Lori wants us all to feel bad for her. She wants to be the victim in this case, but yet she is the offender. Okay, so that is DARVO. All right. So I think the state is putting on a very strong case. That I skipped forward because they had, I think it was a medical examiner, because I did see Colby Ryan did a stream on his channel where he talked about seeing the autopsy picture, like seeing pictures for, I don't know if it was autopsy, but like seeing pictures for the first time, and the closure that he was able to get and being at court last Thursday. And so it was, I think it was yeah, it was very, very strong. Or maybe it was Monday, but Colby, I think it might have been Monday, but Colby did a stream. It is over on his channel. And he just talked about that it was just a tough day in court. Because I think that was yesterday, so Monday. All right. Yes, it was definitely Monday. And he talked about that he's not gonna publicly say what days he's gonna be in court. He just so happened to be able to be in court that day. And I learned DARVO from the chat. So I was talking about Sarah Boone, and somebody was like, DARVO. And I was like, wait a minute. So please know, a lot of these terms that can be popular in some, so I did not learn DARVO in undergraduate or my graduate degree, or even in any professional trainings that I attended. I learned it in doing additional research and talking with you all. So and it is true. Like, I've been able to help educate clients. I think I learned about gray rock on TikTok. I learned about a lot of different terminology and things. Dr. Ramani, anybody that's in a difficult relationship or that has survived a difficult parent, Dr. Ramani has phenomenal resources. She wrote a book, It's Not You, because and she talks about being a survivor of narcissistic harm herself, and that therapists need to be trained on how to help the victims. Because sometimes what can happen if you have somebody with narcissistic traits and they go to therapy, sometimes they can weaponize therapy, like, and use that against their victims. And so I love her work. I was able to see her last month at a conference. She was absolutely phenomenal. I adore her work. Yes. All right. We're gonna keep it going.
And ahead of time, but you were present, I believe, on August 12th at the office to go through line by line, I believe, with that application.
So if I thought I was getting, if a person,
Trying to fix it. She doesn't know how to ask it without testifying. This is why you get a lawyer.
so in your investigation of this fraud, you have seen all of my applications, is that correct?
I reviewed any and all documents that we have in relation to.
And she's the one that said in your investigation of my fraud. I don't know that her lawyer would have worded it that way. I don't know that her lawyer would have worded it that way, but she did. And so, okay.
JJ as well as to you receiving benefits on his behalf, correct?
And you do not recall seeing any spousal surviving benefit application, is that correct?
All that I recall seeing was, once again, the two applications, one for mother, child, and care, and one for JJ as well.
And isn't that a redundant benefit?
Which benefit?
the mother in child care and the child in care. Isn't that
So
the,
is she trying to say that the Social Security office made a mistake by approving her for both? I think she still doesn't understand what she did wrong. Because yes, if something happened to my partner, I could apply for benefits for my child. And as the parent taking care of my child, having lost my partner, I could apply for benefits too. But if I remarry, I have to notify the Social Security office that I'm no longer eligible. The child would still be eligible for the benefit. The parent would not, because they would expect that your new spouse is supporting you and your child. Like that's those so Social Security office doesn't want a parent to receive this benefit in their new marriage, that like y'all have income, that new relationship is going to take care of the children. um I would love to know how Mac Pigeon was able to do theirs backwards. I get distracted by the chat. Welcome if you're new. I'm Dr. Barry, psychologist in Virginia, and we talk all things true crime and psychology here. Let's keep it going.
that's basically the same thing?
JJ had a benefit for himself solely,
Mhm.
then a second one to be mother, child, and care. Does that
To
make-
take care of the child.
Correct.
Correct. The child has to be under your care, custody, and control during that time period. Correct.
So when you're receiving these Social Security benefits, they want them to be for the things that you stated previously, right?
We have a few examples, but it is for the benefit of the child. Correct.
Right. And it's supposed to be spent on food and clothes, and it can be spent on an electric bill, and it can be spent on rent. They want you to utilize that money on a monthly basis. Is that correct?
She's getting mad.
Correct. Or you could also conserve it for the child as well, but that is correct.
And that they can do an audit any time of your account to make sure that you're spending it on those correct things. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes.
And they want it to be spent every month, and you can't really save it for college. Is that correct?
No. And so the audit would be, so if she was spending the money to buy herself designer bags, to send herself on luxury vacations, or like, so if she was using the money, like that would be the fraud part. But really what they investigated was her continuing to receive the funds after she remarried and after the children were deceased. And she knew. So like, ma'am, that's what you can't do that. And she still doesn't seem to understand that part. But and so you can save the money for, so she's trying to say that somebody in the Social Security office said that she had to spend the money every month, and I don't believe her. I don't believe her at all. So she chose to live off the children's Social Security. That's what she chose to do. She would have loved to have Charles' $1 million policy, but thank goodness, he changed his beneficiary to Kay, his sister, in March. Probably when he kind of started to suspect like things weren't going well with Lori. And they're going to go back and forth with this some more. Kay's testimony was so awesome. I truly wish their family all the best.
So if an employee told that to a recipient, that would be incorrect?
The benefit is for the child. The money can be saved or spent on the child.
So if a recipient was told that all the money has to be spent every month on the care for the child and could not be saved for college because it is Social Security.
The objection sustained for, it's straying into you testifying, ma'am.
So it is not your understanding that that benefit has to be spent every month. Is that correct?
Sustained.
So if JJ had Social Security, like if it was in his account for his autism, so if it was something like that, that money, so she might be correct, that money can't be saved if the person has a disability. So if it's SSI, if it's SSDI, where they're receiving it, but like this is death benefits, and so death benefits can be saved. But if it was a different type, and he didn't explain that, thank you, Nishay, for adding this.
So you were not aware of that?
Sustained.
Can I have a moment to confer?
Go ahead.
And so she doesn't know how to ask her question. And so,
Present at the,
sorry, go ahead and go back.
Mr. Sauer, you weren't present at the interview with me and the employee at the Social Security office on August 12th, were you?
I was not.
So you do not really know what was said. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you just saw the applications in the later time?
Yes.
What time about when you started investigating this fraud?
In or about January 2020.
And who is your superior?
Is your question who my boss is, or?
Yeah.
I have a special agent in charge who's my immediate boss.
She likes to ask for the manager. Okay, so she likes to ask for who is in charge of you, because I don't like what you're saying, and just in case I need to confirm something with somebody else. So she can't even subpoena any other witnesses. Like, we're too far into the case for her to even subpoena his boss. But she's over here like, and so I got the Karen asking for the boss. I got that from Paul reporting live from my sofa. I've been watching the live trial with Paul reporting live from my sofa. He brings all the sass, and I love every second of it. And we're gonna try to collaborate again. I was on Paul's stream before. If we do collaborate, I'm gonna try to have it where we can dual stream, and it goes out on both of our channels. Okay. Yeah, Paul is, and so he has his little puppy or his dog, and it was just so great as Lori is just being foolish to just see him with his dog. And so yes. All right, let's keep it going.
Sustained.
Okay, just trust me that this doesn't get any better. Okay, like I think y'all can just trust me that this does not get any better. Outside of the jury's presence, they talk about some issues. Let's see if this was the one. I think this is where they're talking about witnesses. Is this where they get into the subpoenas? Okay, so this is the subpoena part.
Subpoenaed Robert Bobby Vallow apparently was sent that subpoena or served that subpoena for a date that's already passed. Is this, again, someone that you believe has relevant information to your case?
No, Your Honor, that was just an oversight. That was a mix-up of clerical error. So we apologize to him or his family or any distress that was mixed up with an exhibit. His name was mixed up with an exhibit. It's very difficult on the phone at the jail when they cut me off every 20 minutes. And sometimes the notifications that get to my paralegal and my investigator do not come through clearly.
All right. The court will find that that subpoena, first of all, wasn't effective in the way that it was served out of state on an out-of-state witness. It sounds like the defendant's withdrawing that subpoena. Can we say that?
Absolutely, you can crush it.
So that one's withdrawn. Are there other?
Your Honor, I know you filed the state's email. I did have attachments of that on there. If those are part of the record, can we seal that as well? Because obviously it still has Bobby Vallow's information.
I've only sealed your email and I've sealed the actual 2 subpoenas that we discussed this morning.
Thank you.
Was there another, Mr. Boudreau was served with a subpoena for this case, is that correct?
That is my understanding, Your Honor.
All right.
Those subpoenas were sent out from OPDS. We turned them into OPDS before you struck that witness, Your Honor. So
Okay, so that subpoena is effectively quashed, and as I said, that one would be filed under seal as well. Then we have, let me just check the time here, 1:23. The motion in limine regarding the testimony of the video observed by Janice Cox and Summer Shiflett. Have you had a chance to review that and discuss
I
it?
think in the opening.
I haven't had a chance to discuss that with advisory council, and I would like the opportunity to do that, Your Honor.
All right, that's fine. I don't think that's imminent for today.
No.
And then I think we can also take up the state's third motion to preclude later today or sometime tomorrow. Is your next, let's have the witness come back in. I think all our jurors are present, so we.
Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead because this was the claims examiner from Banner Life Insurance. And Lori, I believe, had no questions on cross-examination for this individual. But let's just play a little bit of this testimony, because they played the audio. I want to say that's where this was, but let's see. All right.
Correct. This is the form that we were discussing from the February 26th beneficiary change.
Yes, that's correct.
So we see that it's signed and notarized.
Correct.
And what this then shows is the primary beneficiary is now Ethel K. Woodcock.
Yes.
And then were there also contingent beneficiaries?
Yes, there were.
What are contingent beneficiaries?
Contingent beneficiaries are listed in the event the insured passes away and the primary beneficiary had predeceased the insured, meaning passing away before the insured. Since the primary beneficiary was no longer living, it would then drop to the contingent beneficiaries to receive the death benefit.
Okay. So if K. Woodcock had not been around when Charles passed, then it would have gone to Nicholas Charles Vallow and Zachary Chase Vallow.
That's correct.
When a primary beneficiary or a contingent beneficiary is removed from someone's life insurance policy, does Banner Life Insurance call that person up and let them know, hey, letting you know you're not the primary beneficiary
No,
anymore?
no,
Why not?
they're not the policy owner, so they would not be entitled to that information.
So again, the policy owner is the person who can do whatever they want with the policy.
Correct.
On July 15th of 2019, did Lori Ann Vallow call Banner Life Insurance to make a death claim?
Yes.
And was that call recorded?
Yes, it was.
And is that the audio that you listened to before we took our break for lunch?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, if I may publish this? And again, that's just something that's the normal course of business that Banner Life records all of those people.
All of
calling
our calls are recorded, yes.
We get to fast forward through. Oh, so they muted out the policy number. Okay.
Yes. Okay, one moment, please. May I have the name of the insured? L. Charles Vallow. And who am I speaking with? This is Lori Vallow. And your relationship to the insured? He's my husband. Okay, one moment. Okay, ma'am, I'm just going to need to ask you a few questions so that I can open the claim, and then I can go up the claim procedure with you and answer any questions that you may have afterwards. That would be great. Okay, first of all, may I have your daytime phone number, please? Sure.
I'm gonna mute that part out. Yeah, they're muting that part out.
And what was the date of Mr. Vallow's passing? July 11th. And what was the cause of his passing?
Gunshot wound.
Well, he was shot. Okay, so I don't know how I want to put that. Okay, all right. And I hate to ask, but is it? You can just say yes or no.
It matters.
Was it a homicide? No, it was an accident. An accident. Okay. Okay. And what state did he pass away in?
I don't think self-defense can be an accident. So the fact that, like, you're saying, because it was supposedly self-defense, but for insurance purposes, it's an accident. And okay.
Yeah. Arizona. Okay. Okay, just bear with me for one moment. I just need to pull up a few other things. Okay. Are you aware of who the primary beneficiary of the policy is?
Are you aware?
It's me. Okay, and may I have your, I'm sorry, one moment, my computer just went away for a second. Okay, and may I have your current mailing address? Sure, it's 55.
They're going to mute that part too. She's about to have a very bad day. A very, very bad day. It was a very loud sneeze.
5249.
If it was Judge Cranick's court, he would have said a God bless you. There is not a sneeze in Judge Cranick's court that goes unblessed. Every single sneeze is blessed in Judge Cranick's court. I miss his court. We'll have to go back for something just to watch Judge K.
Okay, ma'am. That is all the information I need to open the claim. What we will do now is review the policy and the file to confirm the beneficiary information and determine the claim requirements that we will need to settle this particular claim. Once we have completed our review, we will prepare a claim packet to send to the named beneficiary once that has been confirmed. And the claim packet can either be mailed or emailed or faxed. How would you like to receive the correspondence? Email would be great. Okay, and what is your email address? It's Lori, Lori.
Are they going to mute? Yeah, I would mute that. Yeah, Judge Cranick and those sneezes. He was constantly saying, God bless you.
Okay. All right. So you should receive an email from our office within the next 3 to 5 business days or sooner. It will have the instructions listed. Once you receive the information, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to give our office a call, and then we can go from there. Okay. Is there anything I can help you with at this time?
So I think at this point, she's not aware that Lori is not the beneficiary.
That's it, I think. Okay, ma'am. Well, I'm very sorry for your loss. You take care of yourself. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right, so we hear in Exhibit 215, that's yourself speaking with Ms. Vallow?
Yes.
Okay, so we can fast forward because we know what happened, that Kay was actually the beneficiary.
You verified with her that she wanted to receive any correspondence by email, correct?
Correct, yes.
And in fact, did you advise her that the named beneficiary would receive information via?
Because this is the first call that's just notifying them of a death. And then they're going to look up the policy. They're going to do all that information. It also sounded like her computer wasn't completely working, or like she was having some issues. And so that might have been why she just got the information and said that she would follow up.
Via email then,
Oh.
correct. Is it normal when you have someone call in to make a death claim to wait and look up things before you let them know?
Yes, that is our standard procedure.
Okay, so you weren't doing anything weird there. That's just what you guys have to
No.
do. So what does Banner Life do to verify that person that Lori Vallow was the beneficiary?
We review everything on the policy file in the system, as well as any paper document that has come through, such as an ownership change, beneficiary change, anything of that nature during the entire life of the policy since it was issued, to confirm that information, to make sure that we are providing the information to the appropriate party.
Did you in this call know at some point that there was perhaps something incorrect about her being the beneficiary?
Not during the call.
Did you look up afterwards?
Yes.
When somebody calls into,
So we already, because I want to skip ahead to the call where she finds out that she is not the beneficiary. Okay. Because it looks like an email was sent to notify her that she was not the beneficiary. This is the second call. She might listen to it on her own, and then they're going to.
Your Honor, the state will move to admit Exhibit 280.
280.
280.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
280 is admitted.
And we may publish that.
Yeah, today's tax day. Make sure to pay your taxes if you're a U.S. citizen. Or file your extension if you don't owe any money. you owe money.
Claims Department, this is Robin. May I have the policy number?
Sure.
They're going to mute that part again.
Call.
Yeah.
I missed you.
Okay, no problem. Let me just get all of this information up. Okay, so in your voicemail, you stated that you had something that stated you are the beneficiary of the policy.
Right. So I have the original policy where I was the beneficiary, the sole beneficiary, and then we changed the policy to where I was 80% and we added 2 people supportive who invested in our company for each 10%. And that's the last one I have. That's the last update that I have. So can you tell me when that was changed again? I mean, I know my husband is the agent on record, so he can change it. He's the owner.
Okay, I don't see anything regarding the second change that you said. I don't, and with those percentages, I don't see anything at all with you as 80% at any time.
Okay, so
But
maybe
I-
that's something he just told him he was going to do. That's just a handwritten copy I have that I found. So
Okay, so well, I really can't give too much information, but I can tell you that the beneficiary was changed in March of this year.
okay. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what he was doing since we have 5 kids and we've been married for 15 years.
I'm sorry.
And I don't think, because she keeps mentioning these 5 children, and I don't think she was ever going to give Charles' adult children a penny. I don't think she was going to give Colby a penny. I don't think she was going to give Tylee or JJ a single, like this. I think she thought it was hers. I think she saw it as her money, and she was incredibly upset. And so her trying to now play the victim. So that's that DARVO again. Like she's trying to now pretend like she's the victim. And he changed it because she was exhibiting odd behavior. And so I agree. Hawaii is very expensive. $1 million would not have lasted long, but remember they were supposed to turn into celestial beings pretty soon. Chad kept predicting the end, even though those dates kept coming and going. But yeah, because he's a doomsday prepper. He was before getting on death row.
Sorry.
So I know he owes a lot of people money and I was worried if I got money, they'd be coming after me for money.
Right. No, I understand that.
But now I will be with none. So, but did he change it to one person or was it several people?
Unfortunately, I can't release that. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I know you can't tell. We're in the business. My husband is the agent. He's the agent,
Okay.
so
Got it. Okay.
we deal with this business all the time. So I
Okay.
kind of know how it works, but I'm
Sure.
completely surprised.
Right.
We have our 7-year-old with autism that we adopted together. So I am surprised that he would do that without telling me.
I'm so sorry.
So, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, even though it's community
No.
coverage and it's his
No,
policy.
this is a contract that we have with the insured. Exactly. So he's able to make any changes, during the lifetime of the policy.
Well, can I check? I mean, I have a policy, a $2 million policy on me. And since he's the agent, would he have been able to change the beneficiary on my policy?
Not if he was the agent.
Like I don't know why she's now worried about her that $2 million policy. I wonder if it exists. Is she submitting evidence of this $2 million policy? It might exist. It probably does. But oh my gosh, because he probably shopped around for the best rate because he could. But she keeps bringing up the $2 million policy.
He would have had to have owned the policy, but I can certainly check.
But if he
Let
would have
me-
signed my name, could he have done that? I wonder.
I mean,
And now she's trying to make it sound like he did something nefarious when Lori. Okay, Lori.
I don't, I would hope that wouldn't happen, but let me just pull up. Okay, let me just take a look and see what I can find on you.
It's under Lori Vallow. It would be under Lori and Vallow. We have a $2 million policy on me, but I'm not even sure it's with Center Life.
I'm not showing that it's with us.
Okay. It
yes,
might be Life of the Southwest. We work with several companies. but
Right.
I could call them and I'm just asking the question, like, I could call them and ask them and make sure.
I even wonder how active she was in his company because I could see her overstating her role, our company. Like I could see her overstating what she did in the company.
The beneficiary is who I say. I mean,
I would. I mean, if you have a concern of that nature, I certainly would call and check on your own policies if you have concern if
Right.
something may have happened.
Well, and I would have to change it anyway because he was the beneficiary as far as I
Correct,
know on
yeah.
my policy.
Right.
He-
So you would definitely want to update that at this point. And
Because
you know,
what happens, like if something happened to me, say today, and it's under him and he's deceased, what happens to that policy?
well, if there's not a, well, every contract's different, but I mean, more than likely, if there was not a contingent beneficiary named, it would go to your estate.
To their state?
Yeah. But if there's, you know, if there's a contingent beneficiary name, then it would go to that person.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And Court TV is on a 1 hour delay. So I don't know if they boosted it. Like if they edited any, like as they're muting things out and making sure that everything is fine. I don't know if anything was boosted, but I appreciated the good audio. Thank you, Court TV.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you. I just needed that information.
Okay. No, not a problem. All right. You take care.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the main part from that. And now we are going to get to the cross-examination of this witness. So they did play parts of Lori's interview. If you missed this witness, she did a really good job. I need to get to lunch with dinner. I have to feed my kiddo in about at least 30 minutes. And so I want to get to Lori's cross-examination because wow. Because she tries to make it sound like, oh, like I was so cooperative. I did everything you asked, which she did. She did. All right. Let me see if it's still the prosecutor or if it's Lori.
With Lori or Alex to try to get them to come back to the scene because their intention was to try to do a walkthrough and some additional investigation. So I made a couple phone calls to the number that Lori had provided to me.
So you made more than one call to that 808 number.
I believe two.
Did you leave a message?
I left a message, yes.
After you had called in,
I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I want to get to the cross. And the state did a great job pointing out the fact that Lori could have just given him the phone. Like Lori could have given him his phone back. This all started because Lori did not give him his phone back.
approach with 245.
Ah, okay. Where does Lori start? It should be soon. Yeah, because they identified the phone. That was that part. Okay, I think it's crossed now.
Detective Inkland, who was the case agent on July 11th, 2019?
That would have been Detective Moffett, who's now Lieutenant Moffett.
Okay. And then when did Detective Duncan, when did the switch happen from Detective Moffett to Detective Duncan being the case agent? Do you know?
When Detective Moffett was promoted to Sergeant Moffett, once you're promoted, you go back to patrol as a supervisor. So when you leave the unit, we reassign case officer responsibility to a detective that's currently inside the unit.
Sure.
So if somebody retires or promotes, that case agent responsibility would shift over to someone else.
Okay.
I thought this witness did a really good job staying calm too, because Lori is going to bring up like the fact that everybody was calm at the scene, and the state has a phenomenal rebuttal to that. Because Lori's going to be like, were the firefighters calm? Like, were the police like it was just a calm scene. Like she's going to attempt to minimize her lack of emotional response and her just seeming like it's another day.
Do you know when that was about?
I don't.
Was it like sometime in that year, 2019, or much later?
I don't know.
Okay. You had talked about when you got the call to come and respond to the house on July 11th. About what time was that?
It was probably about 10 or 15 minutes after the initial radio traffic. I just remember I was on the 202 going westbound and my phone rang.
Very
And
fluid.
when you showed up, you had stated that Alex was seated on the curb. Is that correct?
He was the first time I noticed him, yes.
And you also stated that an adult female and Tylee were already across the street when you arrived?
No,
Oh, we weren't there yet.
no.
Okay. How long after you arrived did we arrive?
I don't know when you arrived. I just became aware of you at some point. I did not see you arrive. You were not there when I got there, but at some point you got there and I became aware of you outside.
Okay. But you weren't in the house, correct?
No.
In the morning? So where were you that you didn't see us coming up at that, in between that time?
I was in front of the house.
And was your view obscured by something?
I don't believe so.
So you didn't see us drive up, you just,
Like, I don't know why Lori is obsessed with people knowing where she is, what she cooked, and like talking about her. So Lori wants to be the center of everything. Like, how did you not see me in all my glory arrive? And it's like, ma'am, I was doing my job. At some point I noticed you arrived. I'm here doing my job. But that makes sense to me that she's doing her job and she might not notice exactly when she comes up, but like, so the points that that Lori attempts to make, sometimes I think it falls flat. Sometimes she does okay job. Okay, she's doing better than I think Sarah Boone would have done.
noticed us being there at some point.
Correct.
Okay. And when you first saw us, what were we doing? Were we talking to the officer
I believe so.
or waiting to talk to the officer?
When I first saw you, Officer Krautheim was standing with you and it appeared like you were all talking together. I couldn't hear you from where I was at. I just noticed you.
Okay, so you saw him talking to us, but you didn't see us initially come up before when he told us to stay where we were.
That's what
You didn't see that part.
I just became aware of you standing there.
Okay. And you talked about my demeanor, right? Being ordinary.
So I'm gonna slow this part down to 1.25 because she gets a little upset about this part. Oh.
Is that what you said?
Being ordinary?
You said ordinary, non-emotional, nonchalant.
Correct.
What's your definition of nonchalant?
Pretty almost detached, just calm, doesn't really matter, kind of not extraordinary.
And so a question like that can backfire on you when you ask the detective to be more specific, because the detective did not enter exactly what she meant by nonchalant. Like, because I think one of the officers also said nonchalant as well. And I think, okay, let me Google. What does Google say about, okay. And so it's a person appearing casual, calm, relaxed, not displaying anxiety, interest, or enthusiasm. Like, I know in prison they have access to dictionaries. Like Lori could have looked up the word nonchalant, and she does to other people. She almost appeared giddy at times, like to me. When I see her interview, she's kind of like smiling and making jokes at times. It seems like it's just a casual conversation. And she's there after her husband, like her brother has shot her husband. And okay. And she heard the shot and just like went to Burger King and Dollar General, maybe. She went and bought flip flops, dropped JJ off at school, and then came back to the house. And really, I think she wanted to remove JJ before before everything came, before the police officers, all of that. Like, she really just could have Googled. And I don't know that she has Google, but she was chipper. She seemed almost a little happy at times. And the detective, because I forgot if it came out with the state or with Lori, but the detective is going to talk about her just chatting in the van on the way back to the house. That and Lori's going to deny that she was chatty. Lori's going to be like, no, I wasn't. Like, Lori's like, are you sure it wasn't somebody else that was talking? Ma'am, it was you. Ah, the one time she doesn't want to be remembered. It's like, no, but that's what I would remember.
Do you have a degree in psychology?
I do not.
Do you know what a person should act like if they're in a stressful situation?
So there isn't one way to act.
That's true.
There's just behavior that is striking.
Striking behavior.
Correct.
Okay.
Walgreens, thank you. Not Dollar Walgreens for the
At some point when you came over to talk to me and my daughter, Did we express to you that she needed her medications that were in the house?
I believe so. And
And the state did a great job on cross examination, on redirect about the when Lori brings up Tylee's medications here.
that
And what did you instruct us about?
at one point, I advised the detectives that were inside of that request, but that a search warrant was happening inside the house. So we would do our best to facilitate people getting things from the house. But the search warrant's going to take precedence to what's going on.
Right, so basically that at the crime scene and we can't really enter, but someone would try to get them for her?
Correct.
Okay, and did someone go and get them for her?
At that point, we did not have a search warrant. We weren't going to be entering the house or removing any items from the house. We didn't have legal authority to go in and remove items without a search warrant.
And the one thing that I will note, because somebody mentioned that Tylee did not appear to have to have a panic attack, and the levels of anxiety. I think Lori wanted to take something out the house for some reason. I don't know why. I think that was more about control than Lori trying to take care of Tylee. Or because depending on what type of medication it was, I know something like a Xanax, or I don't know if Lori was concerned that Tylee was going to tell the truth or not stick with the story. I don't know. And I don't, because we can't ask Tylee, unfortunately. We can't. And but anxiety, a person can look calm and have high levels of anxiety. You can't always tell just from looking at a person the level of their anxiety, but because they recorded Tylee in that room, because there was a camera recording the entire time, and Lori is going to sound like she's so concerned about her daughter, but I don't think she was. I think she was more concerned about herself, my own thoughts and opinions.
So nothing was going to be removed from the house at that point.
But you were aware that she needed her panic attack medicine?
I was a-
Objection as to testifying, asked and answered.
Sustained, you can ask her if she was aware that she needed that medication.
You were aware that she needed her medication?
I was aware you made a request for her medication.
She got an assist from the judge right there. And sometimes judges help even attorneys out like that. He's like, well, you can ask it like this. You just can't do it like. So sometimes judges will help even attorneys out. But
And it would have been non-emotional if I was trying to be calm for my daughter?
I object to speculation.
I don't think
Sustained.
that's why she was calm.
Were you being calm?
I believe so.
Was Officer Krautheim being calm?
I think so.
Were the firefighters being calm?
I didn't see the firefighters or have any interaction with them.
Were the other detectives being calm?
I believe so.
The EMS guys were being calm?
Again, I didn't see them and have any interaction.
And this is where Lori's lack of empathy, Lori's lack of ability to put herself into someone else's shoes to kind of understand what was wrong with this situation, because even the jury knows that normally at this type of investigation, the professionals are going to be professional. And but like for her to start calling out everybody to see was everybody else like, why are y'all talking about me being nonchalant and y'all were actually no, like this isn't like, and the state has a perfect response to this later that I want to save for y'all later. I want to save. And nonchalant is not a psychology term. And Lori had her define it behaviorally. Like she had her define exactly what she saw that made her come to think that she was acting nonchalant. Officers are able to talk about a suspect's demeanor. They just can't make inferences. Like you just can't say due to this she was thinking. Like you can't do that. But all right, nonchalant. Somebody said it's French. It sounds very non. So maybe we're saying it wrong. All right.
Interaction with them.
But it was a pretty calm environment that day, wasn't it?
I don't know if I'd agree with that, but
Well, no one was running around hysterical. right?
Correct.
Okay.
And that was like passive aggressive. Well, to me.
The information that you received from the briefing, was that from Officer, is it Krautheim? Sorry,
Krautheim.
Krautheim.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Was Officer Krautheim the one that gave you the briefing on what had happened?
So Officer Krautheim and Officer Wisbicki, Sergeant Wisbicki.
So they're going to go back and forth about body cameras, and the body cameras were not on. She wants to know who did what, and she's going to say something wrong, and they're going to object that she's testifying. And I don't know. Like, all right. So let's start from here.
You said that Tylee and I were in the van. Is that correct?
Correct. When I came over to talk to you.
And who was with you?
My Sergeant Lockwood.
And was Detective Moffat not with you as well?
He was not.
And so you had stated that you had asked me to get out of the van? Is that correct?
I was trying to get you to come. My intention was to get you to come out of the van. And then you made a statement that you were there. You already knew.
So this part is getting, so she's attempting to make a death notification outside of so Tylee doesn't hear, because at this point, Lori hadn't been told, the detectives, like nobody, the police hadn't told Lori that Charles was deceased. And so she's like, hey, I need to come out the van. I want to talk to you. And Lori says, I already know I was there. I already know I was there. But you didn't call 911. Your brother waited a period of time before he called 911. Okay. Oop, no. I'm so sorry, y'all. It jumped. It did the thing. No. We're going to try to find it. We're going to try to find it. Because that was a good point. Okay, good. I think I found it. They came voluntarily, separate rooms. No. Okay, because she's gonna ask if they gave permission to talk with the children, but that was the gist of that part. Okay, and Lori's gonna go back and forth. All right, all right. It got spicy today because I told y'all I have a little bit of limited time, so we want to jump forward to Lori continuing cross-examination today. This does not have closed captions yet. And so hopefully they'll be on the video later today, but it's not available yet on court TV. Same witness. This was today's cross-examination.
Go ahead and resume your cross.
Detective Inklin, yesterday we were talking about the chain of custody of the phone, so I have a couple questions on that. Yesterday we talked about that Charles' phone went from your hands to the property room, is that correct?
No.
Okay. Where did it,
When I explained to you, it's our computer crimes division, the
Okay.
detectives that do the downloads. Our property room.
So I'm guessing they went back and forth at the part I skipped over, where she explained to Lori how everything works, and Lori's already forgotten. And so she's going to explain it again.
Was about a mile away from the police department.
okay. So it went from your hands to the computer crimes division, is that correct?
Correct. We usually take phones directly to them.
And how long was that between the time you left the house and you delivered that phone to them?
It's about 20-minute drive or so, and then just to the PD and upstairs to where their office is.
Okay. And who did you turn that over to at the computer crimes division?
Sergeant Olness was the sergeant of the unit at the time.
And did you use the passcode to access the phone at all?
I did not. I don't do downloads or exams of devices.
Okay. Did you look to see if the threatening text messages from Charles did actually exist?
I did not do an exam of the phone.
Yesterday, we watched the clip of my interview with you, And we discussed the threatening text messages. Is that correct?
Correct. You told me about them.
And you stated that I did not show them to you. Is that correct?
You did not show them to me, no.
And did you ask me to show them to you?
I did not.
So this is where Lori is going to attempt to almost make it seem like the police didn't, I don't know, because it's like she's poking holes in their investigation, but those holes helped her get away with it for a longer period of before she was arrested. And so, like,
Had I been cooperative all that day?
Yes.
Do you think I would have shown them to you if you would have asked me?
Objection, speculation.
he doesn't know.
Sustained.
Doesn't know.
Was Tylee also cooperative that day?
I believe so.
Was Alex cooperative that day
I don't know. I did not have contact with Alex.
at all?
I did not interview him or talk to him, no.
Did I, in fact, inform you during that interview that I would have to show you them to explain them?
I believe so.
But you never asked me to show them to you?
I did not.
Did you ever request that I turn my phone over to you?
I did not.
Did you ever request that Tylee turned her phone over to you?
I did not.
In the course of your investigation, did you ever, in fact, see those threatening messages from Charles to me?
I did not. I did not look at any of the downloads of any of the phones.
Or in the reports or anything?
No,
You never came across those?
I did not review those reports or do any of the downloads of any of the phones.
You didn't review any of Detective Duncan's reports?
No,
None of Detective Moffat's reports?
no,
Okay. Were you aware of the reason why I had two phones at the time?
I was not.
Did you ask me?
No, I wasn't aware you had two phones.
In the course of your investigation, did you ever learn that Charles had stolen my phone, so I had to replace it?
Object to testifying and move to strike.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it's all part of the investigation.
You're gonna object again to-
Sustained, it's testimony. The form of the question was testimony.
Were you aware that after he gave it back to me that I kept both phones?
I'm going to again object.
Sustained.
Detective, in the course of your investigation, did you learn that Charles had a $2 million life insurance policy on me?
I knew there was a life insurance policy. I don't know the amount.
Why with the policy?
Did you ever see it in any of the reports or,
I did not review and I was not part of that portion of the investigation.
and you never saw that on?
Like, she's alive. So like, why? And he didn't, okay, I think, is she trying to say I had this $2 million policy? So but like, she never said that he was trying to come after her. Like, none of her story is about Charles wanting her dead. And so, I guess the threatening messages, maybe she's trying to flip it again. She's trying. I hope it doesn't work for the jury. I hope they,
Any kind of Bates numbers?
I'm going to object again to asked and answered.
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You didn't see it on any kind of Bates numbers?
No, Bates would be what the county attorney does. That's after me. So I didn't review that portion of the report.
Okay.
how fast are we? Is it 1.5, 1.25? Let's speed her up just a little bit, just a little.
In your direct, you said that, or during our discussion, you said that we arrived at the Chandler Police Station and that we were taken into the Family Advocacy Center. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that what it's called?
Yes, the FAC or Family Advocacy Center.
Okay. And was that just Tylee and myself that were taken to that part of the station?
I believe so, yes.
And so was Alex taken to the regular part of the police station?
He was in a different portion in an interview room in the persons crime section downstairs.
Okay. So we were taken into 3 different rooms, is that correct? When we arrived?
3 different interview rooms, yes.
All right. So I want to skip ahead to when the state comes back with their cross-examination because it was really good. The the states cross.
I'm going to start with when you first arrived on scene. You were asked a lot yesterday when you first noticed the defendant. Were you standing there at the house just waiting and watching to see what cars would arrive?
No.
So when you first noticed the defendant you just happened to glance over and see another officer speaking with her.
Correct.
You were asked a lot about her demeanor that day, both when you first interacted with her, taking her over to the van, correct?
Correct.
Did Lori Vallow's behavior stand out to you?
It did.
Why?
So based on what was going on, that we had a homicide, her husband had been shot and killed, her brother was the one who shot and killed her husband. It was inside her home. Her children were at least partially present to this event. Her demeanor seemed odd given what was going on at the house that day.
So throughout this time, you're just noting her demeanor, right?
Correct.
You were asked about whether or not you were calm at the scene. Do you recall being asked that on cross?
I believe so.
Had you just seen your husband get shot
No,
inside your own home
no,
by your brother?
no,
You were asked if the other officers at the scene were calm. You recall being asked that?
I do.
Were you aware of any of them having just seen their significant others being shot
No,
by a family member
no,
inside their own home
no,
with their children present?
no.
So would it be difficult to compare the demeanor of the officers and yourself with that of, say, Alex or Tylee? Or
You would never compare the demeanor of the people on the scene to like you would never do that. You would never ever do that. But she attempted, which is once again, do not represent yourself. Lawyer.
the defendant?
It would be difficult comparison.
Not the same situation.
No,
You were asked a lot about Tylee's demeanor as well. Did you ever see her appearing to be panicked,
no,
overwhelmed with emotions?
no.
Was there anything about her demeanor or your interactions with her that made you feel she needed any type of medical treatment or medication or anything?
No.
And this is where I was wondering if the jury, if they will ever ask a question about Tylee's video, or if they'll wonder why they're not able to see Tylee's video. Because Tylee's interview is not coming in. They have talked about it so much. They've talked about her so much. And I think they're not going to be able to answer that question, because I think there were pre-trial motions, unless things happen in a certain way. And remember, I'm not the lawyer, so that's for the lawyer, Natalie, lawyer chick, for one of the lawyers that covers this. That would be a great question for them. Is there a way for them to ever to get Tylee's interview in? And yeah.
The death notification that you attempted to make, I'll say. So to understand this, we're both Lori Vallow and Tylee inside the van.
They were inside the CR-288 van.
Can you describe for us what this van looks like? Is it like a minivan? What is it?
No, it's a larger, like 10 or 12 passenger vans, big, full size. So the doors open from the side to get into, I think there's like 3 rows of seating. And they use the van to bring services out, but also to transport people, and they have car seats and things like that.
So when you went up to the van, you opened the door?
Correct, the side door to open to get into the rear portion of the van.
And you were with your sergeant at the time?
Correct.
And you asked?
To me, when I see Tylee's video, I feel sad for her. Like, I feel really sad. I feel that's the feeling that comes up when I felt bad for Tylee. Yeah.
If Lori would come out with you?
I was trying to get her to come out of the van to talk to her outside of Tylee's presence.
Why did you want to do that?
I felt it was more appropriate if I was about to tell somebody that a family member died to deliver it to her. And then typically what we'll try to do is kind of formulate a plan as to how we're going to tell children as to what happened.
But before that, Did Lori Vallow tell you something?
She did.
What did she tell you?
She said that she already knew because she was there.
And this was not what you were expecting to hear.
It was not.
You were expecting that she had no idea,
Correct.
that she rolled back up to this house and sees her brother out there but doesn't know what's going on.
Correct.
After you learned that she was there, did you now feel like you wanted to ask her what happened?
Correct. We wanted to, at that point, transition to not just like a death notification and contacting her, but now we're potentially looking at doing witness interviews.
Did you advise her that you wanted to take her to the station to interview her?
I did.
Did you advise her you wanted to interview her daughter?
I did.
And did you in fact ask her to come with you in a different vehicle?
I did.
She agreed to do that?
She did.
Now, how old was Tylee?
16 or 17?
And she was put in a separate room than her mom. Why?
So when you're going to do witness interviews or any interviews, you want to do the interviews separately. You don't want to interview people together. Obviously, even best case scenario, there's going to be some influence. So you want a good recount or statement from somebody that's their own statement. It's what they saw, heard, felt, not influenced by anybody else in the room or participating in like a group interview.
Were you aware when you were conducting this interview with Lori and with Tylee of the amount of time that had occurred from when she had left the house to when 911 was called to when she was eventually interviewed?
Generally, not specific, but I knew the general time.
Initially at the scene, was there a misunderstanding? Well, let me ask you. When you arrived at the scene that morning, did you understand that when the 911 call came in is when the shooting occurred?
I think that was believed or assumed at the time we got to the scene.
Okay. And was that still your mindset when you were interviewing initially Lori Vallow?
Correct.
So when you started to interview her, you assumed that when that 911 call came in, the shooting had occurred just prior to that.
Correct.
That's why we don't assume. Confirm. Do not make assumptions.
When you were driving Lori back to the police station to FAC for interviews, you again told us about her demeanor. Did that again stick out to you as unusual?
It did.
Why was that?
Again, this incident has unfolded and we're driving and she's just kind of chattering in the car, and given what was going on in the situation and how she was acting, it was just odd to me.
You were asked about, just on cross, whether or not you gave the defendant a specific time when she could come back to the house. Do you recall that?
I believe so.
Did you have any concept of when Detective Coons or Duncan would be?
They're not going to give us a specific time. They do get to the point where this witness talks about the fact that, oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Glad you're here live. They do get to the point where they talk about like looking back, if she had known that, would they ask questions about why didn't she give back the phone? That part does come up, and would she kind of dig deeper? And then multiple people have mentioned that Lori was diagnosed with Munchausen's. That Dr. John from Hidden True Crime shared that. And I've seen parents use anxiety medication to control children, especially like Xanax. If children are prescribed like high doses, I've seen people use things in an inappropriate way, where we had to report it, we had to monitor, we had to educate on when to give, and all of that. And so, because I've seen some people give anxiety medication to make the child's anxiety go away instead of teaching the child how to work through their anxiety. And so, yes. And he didn't diagnose her. So just so that's clear, he never met her. He did not diagnose her. So was that, so I wasn't sure if this was an official diagnosis. This was the chat. So I wasn't sure if that was an official thing, or if that was so y'all know better than I do with some of these things. Because Dr. John will say he can't, he can just talk about things in general. But yes. All right. I appreciate you all. My kiddo, if y'all saw me parenting on the side, my kiddo is hungry. I need to go feed my kiddo. Thankfully, dinner is already ready. I just need to give it to him. I have a 7-year-old. I hope you all enjoy your day. Okay. So somebody mentioned that it was a hypothetical. Okay. So that she could possibly. Okay. It looks like that was hypothetical. Do you want to come say hi? Do you want to come say hi? Or are you good? Do you want to say hello? Or nope, you just want to eat. I love, as I'm about to say, I love y'all. I do love y'all. I hope y'all have a good one. I'm gonna go feed the kiddo. Bye.